Audiobook Academy Biography presents Michael Cohen. President Donald Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen, is now an independent consultant. Cohen's guilty deal on tax fraud and unlawful campaign contributions was made possible by the disclosure that he arranged a financial settlement to adult film star Stephanie Clifford, who claimed to have had an affair with Trump. While working as a private injury lawyer in 1992, Michael Cohen established a sizable real estate portfolio and began to specialize in the New York City taxicab trade, which allowed him to expand his commercial interests. In the early 2000s, Cohen began working for Donald Trump, who would go on to become the 45th President of the United States. It's not hard to see how Cohen became entangled in the Russian collusion investigation after his work on behalf of Trump during the 2016 campaign, which included paying adult film star Stormy Daniels $130,000 and possibly trying to cover up allegations of collusion between the Trump campaign and the Russian government. When Michael Cohen admitted to tax evasion and bank fraud in August 2018, he said Trump had ordered unlawful campaign contributions on his behalf. In May of this year, he began serving a 3-year prison term. Early years and law degree. On August 25, 1966, Michael Dean Cohen was born in Lawrence, New York, a suburb of New York City in Nassau County. In order to avoid Nazi persecution, Cohen's father, a surgeon, immigrated to the United States, where he met and married Cohen's mother, a nurse. American University and the Thomas M. Cooley Law School, one of the worst-ranked law schools in the country, are where Cohen earned his undergraduate and law degrees. Career in law and business. As a personal injury attorney, Cohen started his own firm in 1992. An early self-professed entrepreneur, he claimed to have ran an automobile import firm in college. He and his family bought dozens of then lucrative taxicab medallions that permitted them to operate a taxi fleet in New York and Chicago. The New York State Department of Taxation sued Cohen and his wife in 2017 for roughly $40,000 in delinquent taxes, despite the fact that Cohen would subsequently say that he was not involved in the day-to-day administration of this business at all. After cooperating with prosecutors in connection with his own legal difficulties, Cohen's alleged business partner agreed to assist with them in the spring of 2018. New York City's real estate market has also been a priority for Cohen, who has purchased and sold several residences. Pre-Trump, Cohen engaged in a succession of medical clinics and billing companies, a casino cruise ship business, and a modest investment in a family-run sports bar. Russian-American gangsters have been accused of using the club as a base of operations, and Cohen's uncle, the major owner, was accused in the 1980s of offering medical advice to Lucchese crime family members. In 2003, Cohen ran unsuccessfully for a seat on the New York City Council, and in 2010 he ran unsuccessfully for the state Senate. Connection with Trump. As a result of Cohen's previous investments in Trump-owned buildings, the two became acquainted around the year 2006, when Cohen assisted Trump in a dispute with the board of a Trump property near the UN. He later progressed to the positions of special counsel and executive vice president after Trump was impressed with Cohen's work for the Trump Organization. Apart from that, he sat on the Eric Trump Foundation's board and was part of the management team for Trump's Atlantic City casinos. In addition to his legal and real estate activities, Cohen became a trusted advisor to Trump, ready to do whatever the president-elect asked of him. "If somebody does anything Mr. Trump doesn't like, I do everything in my ability to fix it to Mr. Trump's favor," Cohen told ABC News in 2011. When Trump was considering a run for president, he opted out. According to him, "I'll come at you and I'll grip you by the neck until the job is done. You'll never get away from me." In 2013, Cohen threatened to sue a satirical news site for what he deemed a defamatory piece and attacked a reporter researching charges of abuse, since retracted, by Trump's first wife, Ivana, in 2015. Cohen also gained a reputation for going after perceived media slights against Trump. President Donald Trump's presidential campaign and the Trump-Daniels scandal. While Cohen and others had urged Trump to run for office prior to 2016, he became a significant surrogate when Trump entered the 2016 race and defended Trump on multiple talk shows. On November 8, 2016, he was designated the Republican National Committee's Deputy National Finance Chair, in charge of the group's fundraising efforts, following Trump's election. As Trump's personal lawyer, he also stepped down from his role at the Trump Organization. Wikileaks and the Steele Dossier. As a result of the Steele Dossier, compiled by Christopher Steele, an ex-British intelligence officer, Donald Trump's 2016 campaign was accused of colluding with the Russian government. Cohen is said to have been to Prague in the summer of 2016 to help cover up illegal activities, including financial payments. According to Cohen, he was not involved in the campaign and did not visit to the area at any time during that time. Though it was first reported in April 2018, the special counsel investigating Russia's role may have proof placing Cohen in the Czech Republic during those claimed meetings. A defamation claim against BuzzFeed and Fusion GPS, the firm that commissioned the dossier, was abandoned by Cohen the same month it was announced that the suit had been dismissed. Consulting firm of Daniels Case and Essentials, LLC. Cohen paid Stephanie Clifford, well known by her adult film name Stormy Daniels, $130,000 in the fall of 2016, it was disclosed in early 2018. Trump's 2006 alleged affair with Daniels was the basis for the payment. However, Cohen later admitted to the payment, saying that he paid it with his own money, and that Trump had nothing to do with it. Later, it revealed that Trump had compensated Cohen directly, and President Trump confessed that Cohen had been representing him in the case, although he continued to deny any affair. A non-disclosure agreement, NDA, relating to the payment was breached by Cohen, who filed a lawsuit against Daniels, who countersued, claiming the NDA was illegal since Trump never signed it. In May of this year, allegations surfaced about Essential Consultants LLC, the LLC Cohen put up to execute the payment to Daniels. From AT&T, Novartis, Korean Aerospace Industries, and Columbus Nova, an American-run investment firm with ties to a Russian billionaire who has been sanctioned by the U.S. government, Cohen and Essential Consulting received more than $4.4 million in money. Following Trump's election, each of the companies said it retained Cohen to provide consulting and advisory services. Criminal investigation and FBI raid. U.S. Attorney's Office for the Southern District of New York executed a search warrant at Cohen's office, residence, and hotel room on April 9 of this year. Robert Mueller's office submitted the investigation to the U.S. Attorney's Office, and investigators obtained emails, phone records, tax and bank statements, as well as other evidence connected to Cohen's activities on behalf of Trump and other clients. In June, it was disclosed that Cohen had parted relations with the legal team that had been representing him during the criminal investigation up until that point. Former Manhattan U.S. Attorney's Office Chief Guy Petrillo and Bill Clinton aide Lanny Davis were among those he'd brought on board, it was later learned. Turning on Trump. Cohen's first in-depth interview since the FBI took his files in April was with ABC's George Stephanopoulos in July. Even though Cohen refused to get into specifics about the probe, he did say that he felt Mueller would discover no evidence that he had inappropriate connections with Russian operatives. Former President Trump's demonization of the FBI and willingness to accept Vladimir Putin's denial of interference in the 2016 U.S. presidential election were among his most eye-opening comments. Cohen stressed that my wife, my daughter and my son have my first loyalty and always will, adding fuel to the rumor that he would offer up knowledge damaging to the president to secure a better deal from prosecutors. If Trump tried to undermine him, he insisted that he would fight back and defend himself. "I will not be a punching bag as part of anyone's defense strategy," he said. "It's time to put an end to the false portrayal of me as a villain in this story." Secret recordings of Trump discussing the purchase of the story rights for Playboy model Karen McDougal, who claimed to have had an alleged affair with Trump at the same time as Stormy Daniels, were leaked a few weeks later by Cohen. Cohen is heard discussing the necessity of forming a corporation to handle the money, though it is unclear what instructions were followed amid the intermittently muted audio. The president then tweeted that it was very sad that a lawyer would tape his client, while Trump attorney Rudy Giuliani argued that the video presented no evidence of wrongdoing on his client's behalf. The story goes on to say that Cohen leaked that he was willing to share with Mueller his account of how then presidential candidate Donald Trump Jr. and son-in-law Jared Kushner gave the go-ahead for the July 2016 Trump Tower meeting between key campaign members and Russian agents who promised damaging information on Clinton's rival. Even though Davis claimed to being the source of the information about Trump's knowledge, he admitted that the only person who could validate that information is my client, who is Cohen's lawyer. Cohen. Plea agreement and sentencing. Cohen pleaded guilty to tax evasion, bank fraud, and unlawful campaign contributions in Manhattan federal court on August 21, 2018, after accepting a bargain with prosecutors. According to him, Clifford and McDougal were paid to stay quiet about their claimed romances with Trump because they were in cooperation with and directed by a candidate for federal office, implicating Trump in a criminal offense. Cohen, who faced up to 65 years in jail for the allegations, was scheduled to be sentenced to 46 to 63 months in prison. Trump's deal with Mueller also left the door open for him to help with the investigation into Russian election tampering and obtain a recommendation for an even lesser sentence. A 3-year prison term and a total of $1.39 million in restitution, $500,000 in forfeiture and $100,000 in fines were handed down to Cohen on December 12, 2018. According to law enforcement sources, BuzzFeed reported in January 2019 that President Trump had ordered Cohen to lie to Congress about the Trump Tower negotiations in Moscow, BuzzFeed's report stated. In the beginning of 2016, Cohen claimed that these negotiations were over, but later admitted that they went on until the end of the year. A few days later, Cohen was supposed to appear before the House Oversight Committee, but he canceled due to what he claimed were threats against his family. As a result of Cohen's federal conviction for making false statements to Congress, the New York State Supreme Court disbarred him in February. Testimony from the House of Representatives. Cohen testified before Congress for 3 days in late February 2019. 2 days of questioning took place behind closed doors, but the House Oversight and Reform Committee hearing on February 27 was broadcast live. "I'm here to tell the truth about Mr. Trump," Cohen said, adding that Trump knew about the June 2016 meeting at Trump Tower with Russians to obtain information on Hillary Clinton and the Wikileaks release of DNC emails around that time. Trump also knew about Trump Tower's continued pursuit of a deal to build in Moscow well into the 2016 campaign. And Trump knew about Trump Tower's plan to pay hush money to former Trump campaign chairman Paul Manafort, Cohen testified. Cohen also revealed how Trump asked him to threaten someone in order to suppress the release of potentially embarrassing information and understate his net worth for tax purposes. As a result of his words, the president's supporters attempted to smear him as a dishonest liar and felon. In one heated exchange with Ohio Republican Jim Jordan, who accused Cohen of disputing the federal accusations against him, Cohen responded, "I'm not going to deny anything. Shame on you, Mr. Jordan. That is not what I meant to convey. You should be ashamed of yourselves." Prison. As of May 6, 2019, Cohen has begun serving his term at the Federal Correctional Institute outside of Otisville, New York. When the coronavirus pandemic is predicted to hit in 2020, Cohen's lawyer told the media that his client would be freed from jail in April and would serve the remainder of his term at home. The early release of Cohen was later overturned, according to reports that surfaced shortly thereafter. Due to concerns about the coronavirus, Cohen was freed from prison in May 2020, but he was hauled back into custody on July 9, 2020, for violating the terms of his early release. On July 23, 2020, a judge granted Cohen's request to be released from prison and placed under house arrest at home. Family and wife. Cohen married Laura Shusterman, a Ukrainian native, in 1994, and they have 2 children together. Thank you for listening in Audiobook Academy. Don't forget to subscribe and smash that like button for more content like this. See you in next video.